Congressional Democrats like Dick Durbin are saying that Trump's grab to nationalize the midterm elections are wrong because it would shatter 250 years of norms around federalism. Rousing words there. 250 years of norms. That's what we should rely on. Durbin said that with a straight face. Let's see how that actually worked out, shall we? And who it erases in the process. Hey folks, I'm Tad Sturmer. I'm a public historian and a scholar of American history at the University of Southern Denmark and the author of Resistance History of the United States. For the First Republic's entire run, from 1790 to 1867, the norm was that only white propertied men voted, and even then, only the ones who didn't challenge the arrangement. Elections moved quite peacefully, thank you very much, because the fix was already in at the front door. There was nothing to fight about. Everyone who could vote agreed on who shouldn't vote. Then the Civil War and the Reconstruction amendments to the Constitution broke all that open, and the white male establishment, which wasn't abolished by the radical Republicans, did something about it. So for the next 100 years, the norm was Jim Crow, poll taxes, literacy tests, grandfather clauses, and systematic terror. Every instrument available to claw back what the 14th and 15th Amendments had tried to grant. And it wasn't just in the South, folks. Ohio and California initially rejected the 15th Amendment. Northern states fought black voting rights too. The Federalist norm Durbin and Congressional Democrats are defending was a national project. The brief window when something like multiracial democracy actually functioned, Reconstruction, 1867 to roughly 1877, was ended by federal surrender. The Compromise of 1877 traded the presidency for the abandonment of black voters in the South. That's the direct ancestor of what Durbin is calling a norm worth defending. Federal non-intervention. States handling their own business. You know how that went. And now he's celebrating it. It took the 24th Amendment to the Constitution in 1964 to ban poll taxes in federal elections, and then Harper versus Virginia in 1966 to finish the job at the state level. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 started to dismantle the rest of the evil architecture, and started too is doing heavy lifting because the Voting Rights Act was attacked from the moment it passed and effectively gutted in 2013 by Shelby County. Fannie Lou Hamer testified before the Democratic Credentials Committee in 1964 about being beaten nearly to death by Mississippi police for trying to register to vote. That's what the norm looked like from where most Americans stood. LBJ was so threatened by her testimony, he called an emergency press conference to pull the cameras away from it. So the United States couldn't be called a functioning democracy until, the late 1960s at the earliest. And that window may already be closing again. None of it came from the founders. It came despite them, through struggle at enormous cost, and it has never been secure for a single day. That's the 250-year norm. Suppression, interrupted by resistance, which is still ongoing and still paying the price. What Trump is doing is not a break from tradition. It is the tradition. The mechanism shifts because wholesale voter exclusion is harder now. Harder to run at the front door. So you attack certification, you attack counting, you attack the machinery after the votes are cast. The establishment has always moved the suppression to wherever the resistance isn't. It's not a new play. It doesn't even have a new name. And here's what makes Durbin's invocation of federalism particularly rich. State control of federal elections wasn't some accidental constitutional feature. It was designed to give states the flexibility to manage their voters. That flexibility was used for most of American history to suppress. Durbin is out here defending the delivery mechanism for a century of Jim Crow as though it's a sacred inheritance. It's part of the system functioning as it was intended to. The founders are not on his side. They're not on anyone's side who believes in actual democracy because they didn't build one and didn't intend to. You want to defend voting rights? Then defend them on their own terms, for their own sake, because people were beaten and killed for them in living memory, because we know from brutal experience what the alternative looks like, and because the argument is right without needing a single dead white enslaver to authorize it. Honor the Reverend Jackson's memory. Fight because you think it's wrong. Own that it's enough. Don't do it because James Madison said so. We're the only cavalry coming to save this country, not the founders. And we have 250 years of education and experience that we need to start learning from, not hiding behind. That's all I've got today, folks. Be careful out there. Allons-y.